a lot of people who have RSVP'd for this workshop, so it's going to take a little bit of time for people to populate in, but I am very excited, and I accidentally packed this workshop full of content. So I am going to be moving fast through, and that means you're getting a ton of great stuff, but it also means I am going to be talking super duper fast for a long period of time. So I'm very excited to see all your faces. Faith, hi. Diana, hi. Christina, Erin, I'm so glad you're here. Let's dive into this. I'm sure we're going to have people joining, but they're just going to have to come in a little bit late, and that's just going to be okay. And speaking of coming in a couple seconds late, Erin, would you mind dropping, when I put this up on the window, I did not copy paste it in. Would you mind just typing it up, and as people come in, remind them to add their stuff to the chat? Awesome. Thank you. Welcome to Effective Networking, Curate and Nurture Referral Generating Connections. I'm really excited to be hosting this workshop today. It came out of inspiration from Melissa McFarland, the CEO and founder of Creative Successful Entrepreneurs, asking me to build this workshop out and share it with her community. And we decided to also share it with the District Bliss community. So I'm very excited to be sharing all of this info. So let's go. So first of all, we're networking, even though this isn't a networking event. So at every event, we ask people to share in the chat your business name, the primary benefit of your business, your website and social media link, and then what you're hoping to gain from this workshop. Now, the reason we ask you for the first piece is for networking purposes, right? So after every event, we send you an email with everyone's information that helps you build out your network. Please don't share your emails, by the way. We don't like to send out people's email addresses because we don't want anyone to get accidentally added to anyone's email, listserv, or newsletter without permission. But the rest of it is really a great way to build out your network and connect with people. And that's why you're here today. And you're actually going to get to put those skills into practice. So I'm really excited to be sharing this. And Erin, this is what thank you. You already are on top of it. Perfect. I so appreciate it. And then what you're hoping to gain today, the reason that I ask you that question is because it's really helpful for me as I go through the content. If something sparks in me that I want to share, or if I see something and then I think of it later, it's really helpful for me. It's super easy for me to then reach out and connect with you and say, hey, I thought of you with this. So make sure you share that. So make sure you share your links. Erin will populate this in after we move away from this slide, which we're going to do pretty quickly because I did pack this workshop. So make sure you share that as you get a chance. Awesome. So what to expect today during this workshop. First of all, I'm going to walk you through finding the right events where your people are hanging out. And then we're going to talk about engaging your new contacts and nurturing those new connections. And this is actually where we're going to spend the vast majority of the time, because there is a huge misconception with networking that when you go to the actual event itself, that's where you do the networking and then you're done. However, 90% of the work is after the actual networking event. So we're going to talk about how you can actually build out those connections and deepen those relationships so that you can then see the benefit of the networking event as opposed to just going, meeting people and then saying bye and then not continuing the relationship. So it's arguably the most important piece and often the piece where I see people fall down the most. So after this workshop, you will be able to convert clients, create referral generating relationships, and skyrocket your business with ease. And I have a special gift for you at the end, actually 2 special gifts, because I totally over delivered on this workshop by accident, but I'm still letting you reap the benefits of it. And I'm really excited about it. So before we get started, I want to clear the air. Networking is not hard selling. Now, if you are in the CSE community, then you know this. But Melissa McFarland, the CEO of Creative Successful Entrepreneurs, always says selling is serving. So you wouldn't sell to someone who doesn't need your product or services. And I was thinking about it today and I was like, how can I explain this to people? So if you were a landscaper, you wouldn't go to an apartment building to hand out cards to tenants. They don't have land for you to scape. So you want to make sure that you are serving the people. Otherwise, it's not going to benefit you because people aren't going to buy from you if they don't need what you have. And you don't want to be selling to someone that doesn't need something from you. You don't want to be, if you're a landscaper, going to someone's apartment to trim their one sad lasagna plant. Joke to Christina Curry about that. And you want to, make sure that you're actually building the relationship. So can networking directly lead to sales? Absolutely. But it is a relationship building game. So your goal is to learn about the other person, their pains, their gains, their goals, their business, so you can serve them with sales or otherwise. And we're going to make networking fun because it shouldn't feel like work. It should feel good to meet people. It should feel fun and exciting. All right. Are we all still with me? I know I'm moving fast. All right. And there will be time for questions at the end. So why networking? You need to make money, you need to expand your reach, and you need to convert, whether that be clients, and we're going to go into all the different ways that you can convert. Networking is important for your growth, and you need to make those meaningful relationships that are valuable connections that continue to deliver time and time and time again. It is the easiest, most effective way to convert clients, build referral partners, establish affiliate relationships, increase attendance at your events, and so much more. It honestly just makes life and business so much easier. So it's not about who you or what you know, but who you know is still true in this business world. It's been true since the dawn of time. And if you want to build a successful business, then you need a great source of relevant connections in your network that you can call on when you need them. Now, this isn't just for you to call on them so that you can ask for something for them. This is also for you to deliver something to them. Part of networking is client care. So I've mentioned Melissa McFarland of CSE several times in this call already. And she is one of the people that I've met through networking, and I send clients to her. She sends clients to me, but also, building those important connections. And if someone isn't the right fit for my community at District Bliss, then I might refer them to another community that is equal or the right fit for them. So different, not that CSE is a networking community, they are a coaching community, but it is part of client care. And often, actually, I have referred people to other organizations that I think are a better fit for them. And they will refer people back to me that are a good fit for District Bliss. So it's actually really good client care to be able to refer out to other people. So you may be asking yourself a whole list of questions. And no matter what your question is, the answer is yes. Networking is always going to be possible. It is always going to work as long as you put the work in. So what happens when we avoid networking? It is so easy to avoid doing things, right? Like I avoid, honestly, doing my books because I don't want to look back at what I ordered from whatever website and then figure out if it was office supplies or I don't know, whatever else it could have been that I was ordering. It's really easy to avoid different pieces of business, and networking is one that is often overlooked and ignored. So we don't make the connections. And if you don't make those connections, then you're going to end up having, you'll run into some sludge, and it'll be hard to move forward. So I've again mentioned Melissa several times. She was in fact the inspiration for hosting this webinar today. And I'm going to kind of walk you through a little bit about Melissa and her networking experience, which many of you do not know, even if you know her, which I just think it's really fun to kind of go through and see other people's success. So she's been to several networking opportunities with District Bliss. And at her first speaking engagement, she met a business owner on the way into the event, and he ended up hiring her for her top tier package before the event even started. At her next speaking engagement with District Bliss, he met her now lead coach, Jess Joswick, who was initially a client for a year, and then she upgraded after a year to work through the certification program at CSE, and now she's the lead coach there. So there are lots of ways to convert from networking, and it may be that you're hiring team, and it may be that you're looking for clients, and there are tons of different reasons that are ways to convert within networking, which we're going to go through. But in addition to that, she's also gained an average of 1 client per networking opportunity with us. And I'm going to talk a little bit about networking opportunities versus networking events as well. So it's pretty big when you can network effectively, and we'll go into how. So, but why should you listen to me? You don't even know who I am yet. So I am Sara Alapin. I am the founder and CEO of District Bliss, and I'm also a podcaster. I have an additional business called Photos from the Hardy, which I don't talk about very often in this space, but it was the inspiration for starting District Bliss. And so how did I get here? I started out as a photography teacher, and I worked my way through my MFA, which I financed by photographing weddings during the summers, and I taught collegiate courses on the side as well. I loved it. And then one day I was attacked while I was verbally breaking up a fight in the hallway, and my teaching career was just over. One of the nerves in my leg died, and unfortunately, it was just really, really hard to continue teaching. So I ended up having to move into working full-time as a wedding photographer, but I now had a physical disability. So I needed to bring on other photographers and assistants to support me at weddings. What that meant was I was paying them very well because I needed them to do this great work for me, but I also was taking the client work off their plate. So it was a win-win for both of us. And once I had the opportunity to meet people that were in that space, then I was like, this would be great. It's a win-win. Everybody's going to love it. But I started attending networking events to hire that support, and I was struggling to find the right ones where there was any sense of community, and it was hard, and I was striking out. And I was getting a lot of people who would be like, oh, you're a photographer, I'm a photographer, we're in competition, and then they would turn around and ice me out of the circle, which felt bad. And so then I kind of like shrank back, and I was discouraged, and then I was like, ugh, F this. So I founded District Bliss because I wanted a community of introverted and extroverted entrepreneurs and creatives who are sick of that stodgy networking and want to break free and build a business with ease. So together we move from being isolated and overworked into highly supported and referral generating business owners. We collaborate, we build deep, meaningful connections with like-minded humans, and we move beyond struggling to find a place where we belong to gain the resources, support, and people we need. And that is why I am so passionate about networking. I'm sure it's oozing off of me right now, but it really was a game changer for me, and I couldn't make it work. So I made the system work for me, and it's been wildly successful ever since. So what constitutes a networking opportunity? Every event is a networking opportunity. This is a networking opportunity. We're here talking about networking, so it's not a huge leap, but just like when you're out doing anything in person, you would take your business card with you, right? And you would be like, oh, hey, I want to meet this person. I like this person. I like the questions they've asked. I like the way they've shown up for themselves here. I want to connect with them. Here's my business card. That's exactly the same in the virtual world. You would do the same thing. So why wouldn't you have a document ready to go with your business name, elevator pitch, links, freebie, whatever you might be asked or able to share in the chat ready to go? And bonus, by the way, I have my tracking spreadsheet to share with you at the end of this presentation in order to make that super duper easy and have everything in one place. And why wouldn't you show up on video? Because that's really how we connect with one another. We connect by eye contact. We connect and we associate things about that person. If you don't see the person's face, it's a little bit different. It's a little bit harder. There's a barrier. So show up on video. And it's not how we show up, it's that we actually show up. So let's go back to the example of Melissa really fast. I went through kind of how she met these clients, right? So again, I said at her first speaking engagement, she met a business owner on the way into the event who hired her for her top tier package. This was not a networking event. She was speaking at this event. So it was a workshop like this. It would be like if I met one of you in the hallway on the way in here, and virtually, I guess, in this case, and then you hired me for my top tier package. At her next event with District Bliss, she met her lead coach. Again, this was not a networking event. This was a speaking engagement where she networked at the event. So you can absolutely use every event that you attend as a networking event. In addition to that, she's gained a client at each, I mentioned this briefly, each networking opportunity that she's joined us for. That means she's converted clients during virtual co-working, and I can actually give you an example of this. So it's a members only event where we gather, we state our goals into the space, and we say what we're working toward, and then we do an hour and a half of Pomodoros where we take breaks and things, blah, blah, blah. You don't need to know all the ins and outs of that, but Melissa heard what someone was working on and knew that she could be of service to that person. So she pulled a resource that was going to be wildly helpful for them and shared it in the chat. And it saved that person hours of time. So by serving that person in the moment, Melissa made a strong connection, and that person immediately wanted to hop on her calendar after the virtual co-working event. So truly every event, even if you're sitting in silence, is a networking opportunity. So we're here to talk about effective networking, and the vast majority of people know that networking is important, but a huge percentage of those people don't know how to effectively network. And honestly, this is pure speculation on my part, but based on what I've seen time and time again, this is the follow through that is the problem. It's the follow up afterward. It's the relationship building piece. And it's such an underrated part of the networking process, but it's arguably the most important. So developing those relationships that will deliver over time again and again and again is incredibly important. It's like making a friendship. You can't just meet the person and then never talk to them again. Then that's not a friend. That's just somebody you met one time, maybe an acquaintance. All right. Your social capital, or your ability to build a network of authentic professional relationships, not your financial capital, is the most important asset in your portfolio. This is actually where I make the majority of the money that I make personally in my business. And that is because if I hear what's going on with someone, I know someone else that's willing to, help them in some way, collaborate or generate referrals for them, and move between those connections and build my network into itself. So it really is helpful. And then people continue to come back and they want to be part of that because they see the outcome. So having those professional relationships, that means maybe somebody asks you to be on their podcast, and then you have the link back from the podcast, and you have, all the different pieces, and we'll go into collaboration, but it is the most important piece of your portfolio. If you can hear my dog snoring, I apologize. He is like a train going through here. So what is effective networking? I'm going to walk you through this process, and then we're actually going to get it set up before you leave here today. I want to make sure that you are set up for success, and I'm actually going to have you come to our networking social that's happening at the end of the month to practice this. So we're going to be all set to go by the end of this today. So when you walk away and then you walk into your next networking opportunity, in person or online, you're 100% ready to go every single time. So how do you know you're in the right place? If you're going to invest time in networking, you want to make sure it's the right place for you. And it's where your clients hang out. It's where the people, whatever your goals are, whatever aligns with your goals, the people that are able to help you accomplish those goals are hanging out. So there are a lot of events and opportunities out there. It's really important to choose the right ones, because honestly, it can be discouraging when you don't. like my story where I was discouraged and was like, oh, I'm never going to another networking event. Oh no, I'm going to make my own. So we're going to talk about some of the ways that I screen my networking opportunities. And I'm pretty particular about it because I had such bad experiences when I initially started out. So find the right space for you. So first of all, before you even do this, you're going to lay out your goals, and we're going to do that together. You probably got the goal worksheet in the email leading up to this. If you did not, don't worry. We'll send you the link and you'll be able to build it out. So no worries on that, but you want to make sure you know what your goals are before you even get to this networking space. So if your goals are to find a person who's really good at SEO so that you can bring them into your marketing agency, then bring them on as a contractor so that your clients are getting the best care possible. They're seeing the best return on investment, ROI, and then you're moving them, through, and then they're sticking and staying because they need SEO updating, and then they need maybe social media from there. So you have another social media contractor that works with engagement or trains them in engagement. So make sure you're really super duper clear on those goals so that you are able to get the most out of this, and even to know whether or not you're looking for the right space, because that's, the step before this. So look at the branding, and that includes everything from the fonts, the colors. If they have more than 3 fonts, it might be somebody that, well, I'm going to screen them out because to me, that's probably somebody who hasn't thrown very many events, or they don't really have their branding buttoned up. So I'm going to be a little bit more skeptical of that event if they have more than 3 fonts, which I know sounds like a little bit ridiculous, but your gut is probably going to look at those more than 3 fonts and think, why does it look so messy? It doesn't seem like it's buttoned up. So, you and Aaron, of course, the designer, is chiming in and agreeing with me. I appreciate that. And then I want you to look at the pictures. So does it look like an event that you would feel comfortable in? Does it look like an event where your people hang out? And maybe that sounds a little bit face value, but all of these pictures that you're seeing in this slideshow are from District Bliss events, and they're not stock photos. They're real photos from events that I've hosted. And that means, you get an idea of what these events actually look like, what they feel like when you walk into them. If it's a stock photo, that's okay, but they're choosing that with intention. So, and Christina, absolutely right. Like if it's an event photo and it shows people in suits and you're like not a buttoned up kind of person, and your client is a really like relaxed, soft pants kind of person, then that might not be the event for you. That might not be where your people hang out. You should make sure that branding speaks to you. And I really lean into trusting my gut on those things. Read the event description and the title. Make sure that it is something that sounds like what you need. I was actually doing some research for this, and I went through and I saw a couple people who said like their title was small business networking and speed networking. And I was like, I don't understand why you're specifying that in such a weird way. And then I looked at the pictures and it was all Zoom screens, and it just like didn't engage me. And not that there's anything wrong, like some people started during the pandemic, we didn't, but like that's okay if it's all Zoom screens. But that needs to be something that like engages you in some way. And there are different ways to use those Zoom pictures to not feel like that. So if it doesn't feel like it fits into what you're looking for, then again, trust your gut, read the description, make sure that it's clear. I like to look for a schedule. And the reason that I do that is actually because I attended an event that I thought was just a workshop, but it ended up being a networking opportunity and a workshop. And then it was like 15 minutes of networking, then it was like part of the workshop, then another 15 minutes of networking in breakout rooms, and then another like 15 minutes of networking in breakout rooms too, which is great. Like had I known that, I would have been all in. But unfortunately, I had chosen to eat during that time. And I was like, I'll just like, it's not a huge deal if I'm eating. On a call, like I eat on calls all the time, honestly. It's known if you know me, like I'm constantly eating on calls. It just happens and it's fine. But I don't like to do it when I'm in a small breakout room with people that I don't know. And I would have, if I'd known the schedule, actually not done that. Especially when we got out of the breakout room and my picture wasn't small and I realized I had something in my teeth, which again, I'm okay with that. Like, that's how I show up. I'm okay with most of those things, but it's nice to know the schedule. And especially if you're not comfortable, Ben, you are always welcome to eat at our calls. Read the reviews. Reviews are hard to come by, as you know. It's hard to actually get your clients to go and give a review. So when you are getting a review as a small business owner or a networking organization, then they're generally pretty honest. So make sure you read those reviews. And then here's my biggest one. Talk to your friends and colleagues. Have they attended events by this organizer before? Ask in your communities that you're a part of and say, hey, I went to this event. I met this like quirky woman, Sara, and she was saying like she has fun networking events. Has anybody attended them? Do they suck? Then, you know, your friends are going to be honest with you and they're going to say, District Bliss events totally suck. Just kidding. They'll be like, they're so lighthearted and welcoming and you just feel great when you come in. And then if you have questions, reach out to that event organizer. We are always going to be happy to answer questions. People reach out all the time and they're like, hey, can I come for half? Yes, totally. You can come for as long as you need. We will miss you when you leave, but we will be glad to have you for as long as we can. What if it's not the right place? So this is a really important piece and not to be overlooked because not every place is the right place for you. And sometimes you've done the screening process, but it still ends up you go and it's not the right fit, virtually or in-person events, by the way. So give it 3 to 6 chances. So we've screened the event, we've now gone. We're not sure. Now, I say give it 3 to 6 chances. The outlier on this is if you go and you feel unsafe, if there is something that really does not align with your values once you arrive that you find, or if you go and it's like, if it just seems like your people aren't there, I usually give it a couple chances because sometimes it's just an off day. Sometimes the people that you're looking for just aren't there that day. But if you get really like bad vibes, then, you know, I understand. I'm not going to make you go back and I'm not going to traumatize you with bad networking events. But, you know, if it doesn't align with your core values, then don't go back. So check in with yourself and evaluate after the event. So take time to truly consider your event and if it is a reflection of the organization that you didn't have a great time. So maybe you didn't feel welcome. Ask yourself why that was. This will also help you screen future events and determine what is a better fit for you in the future because we don't have time to waste on this stuff. So maybe there was no one there that aligned with that had goals that align with yours. That's a good sign that like maybe you shouldn't go back. And that's not core values. That's like if everyone there is there to just hand out business cards and hard sell, and that is not your goal. And that I don't think should ever be your goal. So if that is, you know, the type of event you go to, or if it's a group of all landscapers and you live in an apartment building and you do something that is completely opposite, where you have no overlapping potential clientele or resources or anything, then that's a good sign that you shouldn't go back. But it's also important to ask yourself, was it you? There are some days when I am just not in the mood to network. What happens on those days, I distract everyone around me because that's the kind of energy that I have. So I will go in and I'll be like, hey, let's talk about anything other than business. I'm so tired of thinking about my business today. So then I talk to them about whatever else. You can recover from that, but that is a you problem. That is a me problem, not that event's problem. So you can actually recover in the networking just fine from that situation, but it's just important to note if it was a you thing or if it was a them thing. So did you go in thinking you knew your goals that you'd set for yourself and then you took your eye off the ball, or maybe they weren't the right goals and you went in thinking, I want to find clients, but then you realized, oh shit, I can't take any more clients. I'm so backed up. I don't have any space for this. So, if that's the case, then, you may need to refigure out what the best fit is for you. Were you prepared? Did you get stuck with the one person who just wasn't the right fit? That's a strategy problem. That's not an issue with the event itself. And then what do you need to do in order to have a successful event the next time? Is that not go back to this event, or is that go to this event with a different set of goals or with a different strategy, or, with looking for a different outcome in the future? And of course, you can always ask questions. I love to ask questions. I think it really, it also is a great way of connecting with the host. All right, so we are going to do a tiny bit of work time here, and I mean a tiny bit. I actually did not, I built so much content into this workshop that we don't have very much time. So I am going to go ahead and drop the link. So this is a free ticket to our upcoming networking social. There's nothing, there's no catch to this at all. I want you to RSVP to this so that you can actually practice these skills. I'm going to paste it in the chat. That's not the right link. Hold, please. I'm pasting it in the chat for you. And that way you can make sure you RSVP by the end. And then we have this goal setting worksheet, which was sent out in advance. So I'm going to kind of walk through what that looks like for you. Let's see, I hope this is the right worksheet. So I want to walk through what that looks like for you. So I said, and I know this is super tiny here, let me pull it up. Let me stop my share, and then I'll pull it up on our actual, this is the behind the scenes of our member vault here. So this is our, can you all see this? Gotta let somebody in. All right, so before you attend any events, it's really, really important to get clear on your goals. That's how you are going to actually build this out. So I encourage you always to invite other people to these networking events, just because it's nice to know what other people are attending. It's nice to then be able to go back to the other person and ask them about their experience, that kind of thing. And it's just nice to know people at events. So this worksheet I would like you to complete before you RSVP or before you join us for the upcoming networking social. I actually don't have time to give you work time today, so I'm going to trust that you do it later, which I realize as a former teacher is not always the right move, but we're going to trust that you all are going to get this done. And we're going to keep trudging on. If we end up with work time at the end, I will happily give that to you. But again, it's super important to track your people that you meet, your goals that you have, and then as your goals shift and change, make sure that you also are tracking that. So we're getting into the more important, in my opinion, pieces, the most important, or maybe the most overlooked pieces of networking now. So this is where you are going to deepen the relationships and build connections during your networking opportunities. So let's go through how to actually do that so we can put it into place and then successfully make that happen. So first, we want to create authentic connections. And I want to point out that this is both during and after the networking opportunity on this slide, because you're going to start off with creating, but then you're going to deepen those connections as you go. So I want you to go in with the mentality of asking questions and finding out about the other person. So that means what they're working on, what their goals are, what are their values, who do they work with, are they launching something, is there something they're working on that's like they're struggling with, they can't get over that next hurdle. Those are all really important things to know as you move forward and build out your network. the most important piece that I want to convey is that networking is actually not about you. Networking is actually learning about the other person, no matter what your goals are. So if your goals are to get clients, it's still the same thing. You're not going in with your elevator pitch right off the bat. You're going in and you're saying, hi, my name is Sara. What is your name? And then asking questions. So, what is it that you do? Oh, that's really interesting. So how did you end up starting that? Or, and build out that conversation. So that will help you find common ground. So, are you both headed in the same direction? Do your goals align? Do you have similar clients? Or is there some sort of overlap? Do you have similar business structures? Are you both hosting events? Are you both looking for podcasts to get featured on? Are you both building out PR strategies? It's really nice to find that common ground, because that person can be a resource for you and you can be a resource for that person. It helps with accountability. It helps with just not spending hours and hours Googling or hiring someone when you don't really know what the right fit for you is, because just like with networking, we don't always know our right goals. So it's nice to go in and find that common ground, and maybe they've hired a PR professional that they really love, and you then can ask them, what do you love about that person? That's really interesting. Would you mind connecting us? Be an active listener. And a pro tip here is to remember their name and remember their pains and gains and their goals. So what are their needs? And then that way, when you walk away, if the next person you talk to is, let's say they're building out accessibility, they really want to make sure that they're reaching the hard of hearing or deaf communities. And they want to make sure that their audience is inclusive of those for their virtual events. Well, then Erin Perkins of Maple EQ is the person to go to. Let's say Erin is the person that I talk to next. Then it's really easy for me to say, oh my gosh, you have to meet that person, and either introduce them right in the space or introduce them afterward, depending on what the format is for that specific event. Plan a way to continue the conversation while you're in the conversation. So swap contact info and then reach out within 24 hours, whether that is to schedule coffee or time to chat, or whether it's exchanging email addresses, giving your calendar link, however that looks for you. Just make sure that you are that you're setting that up while you're there. And I want to be really clear here. This is not a sales call. This is not a pick my brain call. This is not a pick their brain call. This is you building out a conversation. So you are starting a conversation. Networking is a little bit like dating, where you wouldn't just go in and then say, hey, will you marry me on the second call? Or the second meeting. You want to actually get to know that person. You want to make sure it's a good fit. Now, can sales happen on that call? Sure. But that should not be the way that you go into it, unless you're being transparent about it. And I will go into that a little bit more again later. But I just want to make sure that we dispel that as being the case, because there is nothing that I dislike more than getting on a call with someone and finding out, or meeting them for coffee, and then they don't even buy my coffee and they want to sit there the entire time and pick my brain about how I've built my network. And then they don't give me anything in return. And that doesn't feel good specifically for me, but it probably doesn't feel great for them later when I just don't ever want to get together with them again. So, you want to make sure you're building that relationship, and we'll go into some of that a little bit more in depth in a minute too. So I know I'm going super duper fast, and I'm honestly not keeping an eye on the chat. If we have any questions, I'm going to take them in a couple minutes. It's a lot of content, I know. I tried to slow down a little bit. Hopefully you all are doing okay. If you're not, let me know. I'm actually looking at the chat now, or Erin can pop in and tell me to slow down, or whatever the case may be. And you'll get the replay of this later, by the way. So when you are continuing this conversation, so you're an active listener, right? You're actually paying attention to what they're saying. You're digesting it. You're taking it in. You're really thinking about like how this person, like what you could offer this person that might be beneficial for them, whether that be, another connection, or whether that be a resource that you've found helpful, or, a YouTube channel that has a ton of great info, or an organization that might be helpful, or someone they can hire, whatever the case may be, you are an active listener so that you can take that with you and then provide that really amazing content for them later in whatever form that takes. So when you are then continuing the conversation after the networking opportunity, which you have committed to because you put it on your calendar, or you emailed them within 24 hours or whatever the case may be, you made that happen. And then I want you to include something specific and personal in that follow-up email. So honestly, we forget about half the people we meet when we go to a networking event. And virtual, it's a little bit easier because you're looking at my name. If I'm wearing a name tag, it might not be up here. If it's in person, it might not be up here because it gets stuck in my hair, or it falls off, or you can't read my handwriting because I'm a lefty. It could be a whole variety of things. I've smeared the whole thing. So it's a little easier in the virtual space, but it isn't always easy, especially after a couple of days, to remember the person. So some sort of reminder of the conversation you had, or a little personal touch, does not go unnoticed when you're sending an email after a networking event. So if somebody reaches out and says, we talked about blah, 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 then I'm like, oh, that was such a great conversation. I totally do want to continue that conversation. I want to learn more about your awesome business, kind of thing. All right. Communicate with your new connections. I like to ask for a preferred method of communication, and I do my best to honor that. I think it's important to ask that because we all have boundaries surrounding what we are comfortable with. So, and we also know our downfalls. Like, I'm not great at email. I'm just not. I'm really good at Slack, and I don't allow people to text me about business. The reason being, I can't mark it as unread. I will forget about it. It feels like it bleeds too much into my personal life. And then it just like, I won't look at, if I see a text message during the day when I'm like nose to the grindstone doing work stuff, then I'm not going to look at it because I assume it's personal, and then I'm not going to see it for hours and hours. So, if someone asks my preferred method of communication, it's really helpful so that they don't end up, texting me about work, and then I'm missing out on all the opportunities and things that they're sending me. And, it's helpful for other people, because some people prefer email and some people know they're really bad at responding or checking their email. So be personable, really connect, ask questions, get to know the person, just like if you were meeting a friend. And then schedule a sales, or when to schedule a sales call. And the most important thing here to me is to be transparent. When you are scheduling a sales call, that's totally fine. I highly encourage you, if you know it's the right fit, schedule a sales call, but don't say, I'd love to grab a coffee, and then with the 100% intention of going into a sales conversation where you hard sell the person. I wouldn't recommend doing that regardless, but some people, that is their strategy. Some people have found that works. I'm not here to judge. I'm just giving you what I've seen work in networking. So if you want to schedule a sales call, say, let's schedule a discovery call, because that person might be saying, hey, how do I work with you? Well, then you don't have to say, you still may want to grab coffee, but you don't have to try to hide it in grabbing coffee. Just say, let's schedule a discovery call, or whatever your equivalent is for a sales call. All right. Again, I did not allow enough work time here, but I will give you this spreadsheet. This spreadsheet is actually super juicy. I'm going to share, give me 1 second. I will screen share the actual spreadsheet and go through how you're going to fill it out. I packed this with way too much information, but I have no regrets because I know you all are going to get so much out of this workshop. So this is your networking tracking spreadsheet. This is the spreadsheet that you will be getting. So you actually have up here your primary goal for the networking event. So whatever that goal is, you are going to put it into here, and then your additional goals. And then right here, you're going to copy paste your heighten the hunger statement or your elevator pitch. then you have that ready to go. That means you can read it off if you need to, or you can actually copy paste it in the chat if someone asks you to put it in there. You have your calendar link handy. You have your website link, your social media links. If you noticed, we asked you to put all of those things in at the beginning of this call because that's part of the way that we encourage connection. You have your freebie description and your freebie. So this is how you capture your people to actually get onto your mailing list with something that's going to entice them. For example, to get on our email list, our capture is we have a networking cheat sheet, and it has a very basic amount of these tips on there, but it is helpful in its own way. So if someone says, I'm really looking for like a better networking strategy, then I can say, is it okay if I drop my networking link or my freebie? And then I say, hey, here's this resource. So it's a really good way of just having all of this in one place so that you can share it. Tracking the events that you have gone to. So you should be going to at least one networking event per month. I probably go to 5 networking events per month, maybe more than that. Specific networking events, networking opportunities, I go to many more than that. So you can just check it off when you attend a networking event. And actually, you can all check it off because you're coming to our networking event on March 30th. And then you can actually track your people that you have, that you've networked with. And I'm going to give you this. So you get this. This is part of thank you for showing up for yourself today. And now you get to go forth and track all of this. So my name is Sara Alapin. You met me on 3/16. My email is hello@districtbliss.com. My company is District Bliss. We are a networking organization. Your notes about me are that I am outgoing, I am a redhead, I laugh a lot, and I am a dog lover. You heard my dog snoring in the background for the majority of this. And then you can actually check off what your goal is here. So I might be your referral partner, and you can add those over here if you need to add another connection key. And then you can check off that you followed up with me. So maybe you followed up on social media, and then you also followed up, not corresponding to months. Then you also followed up on email. Maybe you Slacked me too. So then you get 3 check marks off for following up with me. And that kind of helps you check. It reminds you of who that person is because we don't always remember. It's really helpful. I found this to be the best way to remember who I've connected with. And you, of course, you will be able to duplicate this and you can make it per event if you want. You can add 10,000 lines into the spreadsheet if you want. But I highly encourage you to use this as a super valuable piece of our resource vault at District Bliss. So I highly recommend that. All right, we are going back over to our presentation. And you will, again, get this later. Don't worry. All right, here we go. Back at it. We only have 10 minutes left. So flying through. So convert clients into income. There are so many types of ROI, which is return on investment. And it really is important that you recognize what the one that it aligns with your goal. We've gone through this a significant amount. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about ROI as you go through this. My personal conversion strategy is that I follow that person on social media. What this allows is for me to give them a sense of what they do for their actual work, how they talk about themselves, how they market, what they're putting out into the world. It is a little screenshot of what they are actively working on and actively sharing. That lets me know if there's a way I can collaborate with them, if there's a way I can support them. And then I reach out on social media before I email them. This lets the person know it's not to have a conversation on social media. It's me saying, hey, I was really excited to meet you. I'm really looking forward to having a conversation. And I'm going to send you an email. So keep an eye on your inbox if I have their email. And then I want you to think about how you can collaborate with that person. So mentioning that in your initial email. So I did the social media piece. Now I'm sending my email. How can I collaborate with that person? And we're going to go through the types of collaboration, but it's really helpful to mention that in the email. I like to send that email within 24 hours. And I say it was nice to meet them, offer suggestions for next steps. So schedule a phone call or video call or go out for coffee or wine, whatever the case may be. And then I make sure that I keep showing up, because if that person sees me on a regular basis, then that person knows that I'm legit. Like I really care about their business. I really care about what they have to offer. So I'm a valuable resource to them, and they're a valuable resource to me. All right, types of ROI, return on investment from connections. So you make sure you're clear on your goals, which are, are you building team? Are you building clientele? Are you building out affiliates or referrals? Are you looking for a piece of tech? Are you looking for, friends that you can gather with who understand what it's like to be an entrepreneur? Are you hoping to find someone who can just relate to your day-to-day, or maybe can help you with accountability? So make sure that this type of ROI is not always monetary, is what I'm trying to say here. Sometimes they pay off in a different way, and that's still as good, if not better, than getting that payoff and then moving on. So nurture your connections post-event. So you want to have an ongoing conversation. We just talked about this, how I reach out on social media, then I send an email and say, look for an email, then I send an email, and then I follow up with them if I haven't heard back from them within 5 days. And then I schedule a call with them or a time to meet up, whatever the case. I also make sure that I interact with them and engage on their social media posts. That helps them with the algorithm, but it also shows them that I really do appreciate and I'm paying attention to what they're doing. And then I highly, highly recommend that you commit to showing up for yourself, because if you keep showing up and you're looking to expand your business, you should really be part of 3 networking organizations. And you're showing up on that monthly basis, which is, again, I show up to probably 5 networking events, 2 of which are my own per month. But it's really important that you show up for yourself, because you are the face of your business. And then joining a community shows your commitment to your business. It conveys that commitment to the rest of the community, and shows that you're the real deal and that you're there to support one another, and that you're a dedicated business owner. Strategic generosity is something that I think is a really important piece that also often gets overlooked. So this is mutually beneficial generosity. Unfortunately, not everyone deserves your energy or your time. Networking and business building is a two-way street. If the pick my brain example is the one that I always go to mentally, where right before the pandemic, this happened to me 3 times, but I was invited out for coffee. They didn't even buy my coffee. And then they picked my brain about networking, and then they just said bye and left. And that was it. And I just was left feeling like, why did I even bother coming out here? That's not a good feeling for anybody. And I mean, it's long-term, it's bad form. It's bad form. Let's be honest, it's just bad form. So long-term, it comes back to bite you, though, even if it doesn't bite you right away. So you are doing a two-way street. So if you are always the giver, you will end up feeling resentment, and you'll be exhausted, be discouraged. And if you're always the one who's asking, you are going to be breeding that for other people. So it makes it really easy to shrink back and hide and be skeptical. And then collaborate and support one another. We're going to go into that in another slide. So collaborate. These are the ways to collaborate. These are the ones that I have found the best success. So right now, Melissa McFarland of Creative Successful Entrepreneurs is asked me to host this webinar, and we are collaborating here. So we both hit our audiences to share what this was. And it's also an event. You can also do list swaps where you email out for one another. You can do giveaways where you come together, bring something really cool, and then you all talk about it together. You can do social media, cross promotion, talk about what other people are doing. You can guest on podcasts, speak at events, all the things. So these are the most high converting that I have found ways to collaborate. And they're great things to suggest or keep in mind as you go to networking events. I know I'm super tight on time now. Okay. Curate your connections. So Why bother connecting? The shorter answer is it's great for everyone. And why it's great for them, you're breaking down barriers by offering an introduction. So you're connecting your people with other people in your network here. So you are breaking down a barrier by saying, hey, this is Melissa McFarland from Creative Successful Entrepreneurs. She's an amazing business coach. She helps right brain thinkers make a left brain living in the world. I think that's the right direction of the brain thing, but I always forget. So, and you're actually looking for a business coach, or you're looking for someone that you can get in front of their audience. You have a great amount of marketing content to share. So here is Christina Curry of Sprout Creative. She is going to share her marketing stuff with your clients, and your clients are going to walk away raving about your program because they loved what Christina brought to the table. It is a great way of breaking that barrier so that those two people know that it's worth their time to actually invest in connecting and networking, since you already carry that know, like, trust factor. Now, why is that beneficial for you? It showcases your value, because it's not about what you know, it's about who you know, and you still truly care about that other person, those two people, and you want them to be successful. Best practices. I have a template. We have it in the District Bliss member vault. For those of you who are members out there, I include links to the other person's business. I keep it short, 1 to 2 sentences about the person, each person being introed. And then I tell them why I'm connecting them with 1 to 2 sentences max. I give them permission to take it from there and say, I'll let you take it from here. Happy connecting. And that is how I bring people together. All right. So why join a community? Joining a community is a pre-established network of like-minded people who are committed. So there's so much value to being part of a group of like-minded humans every day. You can ask questions in a confidential, safe space. It's easier to stay on top of trends. It's a great place to network. It feels safe while you're networking, even though other people are coming into that community for a lot of networking opportunities. It still feels safe because you know what the container outside of you is. You know who's coming in. It's always going to be people who want this, who have the same goals. You can find the best tech for whatever you're working on in your, or wherever you are in your entrepreneurial journey. It's a great place to do some groupthink on things like tech. Staying top of mind to a large group of people by participating in a community is also really helpful, because then that person knows, okay, this is what you're doing. How can I introduce you to another person that would be mutually beneficial? I know you're looking to get on podcasts. I actually have a great podcast friend. I'm going to send you over there. So these are people who want to see you accomplish your goals, who know your goals, and they want to see you succeed. So they're going to support you and elevate you. This also helps you build referral generating relationships organically. So people know what you're doing, they know what your business is, and they know your ideal client, all the things. So it's easy to refer out to you. It just makes life so much easier. You can share your expertise and resources and knowledge, and that's from templates to the best person to hire for social media, if that's what you're looking for. You can gain pivotal knowledge from workshops and trainings. And honestly, it feels good to network within those and build those deep collaborations. So being part of a community provides an invaluable opportunity and resources. All right. So we're at the end of this, and I'm going to take Q&A, and I will stay for an additional 15 minutes past the hour. So I know I packed this so full of information. I did not really give enough work time, but so if you sign up for District Bliss today and become a Rising Star member, you are going to save 50%. So like I said at the beginning, District Bliss is a community of introverted and extroverted entrepreneurs and creatives who are sick of the stodgy and want to break free in order to build their businesses with ease. So we move from feeling isolated and overworked into highly supported and referral generating business owners. And we collaborate and build deep, authentic connections with like-minded humans. So we can move beyond struggling, gain the resources and support we need, and meet our people. So if you're ready to build out that support system, get the resources you need, do all the networking successfully, and show up for yourself, then this is a great, great place for you to do that. Oh,
Sara,
yes.
I know you're in a thing there at some point, as I just can't quite tell when you're there, and I'm afraid you'll jump right out. I would love to tell people just a sentence or two about what has happened for me with that. So sorry to interrupt you. I wasn't quite sure when that round. So keep going.
Come on in. I added your spotlight. The water's warm.
Well, and did you get to say the last comment there? I did see that there's a code going in the chat box there and all of that. And just to say to our clients who have come here, thank you, Sara, for hosting this today and for making it happen. Every time you do this, it's even better than the last time. I'm looking at that spreadsheet and like, oh, good grief, if I'd had that. It's so handy and it's so you. I just want to say for those of you who are either our clients and have not yet joined District Bliss. We've got some prior clients here who have joined District Bliss and are still showing up. And for those of you who may not be our clients, but have not yet joined District Bliss, I've made, gosh, $50,000 at least just in the first year that I was part of Sara's community, and we are still part of her community. It's a constant source of really great engagement in the world. It's a perfectly it's way beyond networking to be with the right organization that is, I love the word, not stodgy, and fun and free, and just the warmth that you feel from Sara. I mean, she's plowing through and giving you so much joy, and the strategic generosity that she's putting into the space here is typical of the District Bliss community. So I just want to encourage all of you to take a look at that right now, especially if you're one of our clients. I want to say to you, I would like you to be a member of District Bliss because it makes my job with you so much easier. Sara can nurture you, hold your hand, and support you as you get your businesses off the ground in the right networking experience. It makes everything we teach you that much easier to go ahead and practice in that wonderful safe space. And that is really critical. So you're almost not in a stranger land then when you go through the District Bliss networking opportunity. And this offer rate is not on the table typically for Sara. I thank you, Sara, for offering it today. I appreciate that. We always ask our speakers to give a really juicy offer to our clients. And I know we have more than our clients here today. So that for those of you who are not our clients, but are getting introduced to Sara or part of her community, but not yet a member, just do it. And Sara, thanks again. I'm sorry I wasn't able to be here at the top of the call. I was actually closing a client. So
congrats.
Thank you. Yes, too many things going on at once, but I'm glad you floated right in here, and just thank you. Thank you for who you are and what you've created in the world.
Oh, well, thank you, Melissa. It's always so lovely to see you. I'm glad you made it for as much time as you were able to.
And I'm going to be at the networking meeting. I think it's on the calendar for me to be at that follow-up networking meeting, which is so cool because we get to practice. I'm going to use my spreadsheet.
That spreadsheet is gold. I'm really excited to hear everyone's feedback on that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Melissa, for being here and for saying that. You are so wonderful. I love the CSE community. They've been such a great container for me, and welcome to all of you who are part of the CSE community.
Fantastic.
Awesome. I hopefully Erin was able to drop that link. If she did not, then I will make sure and we'll send it out to you after this as well. So what does that actually look like? So Rising Star membership, again, you're going to save 50% if you sign up by Sunday. That's quarterly calls with me. I'm going to go into what the details of that actually look like in a minute. But that also means that you get access to the private community forum where you can ask questions and group think with our people. The District Bliss Brainery, which is our course catalog, where this is one of many, many, many courses that will be in there. I think we have like almost 100 now. We have sponsor benefits where you can get tech support, priority for leading workshops like this. So Melissa, again, was a speaker at 2 of our events and converted clients from both of those events. They're great places. Guest passes, because it's always more fun when you can do it together. Blog contributions, which means SEO, because you get a great link back. We have that resource vault that I inadvertently showed you when I was opening my spreadsheet. But that has everything from templates to speaker nurture if you're hosting events, to contracts, to my intro email template, to all kinds of networking stuff. That spreadsheet is just a tiny example of what exists in that space. And then events. So we have networking socials, workshops like this one, private trainings, roundtables, which are a group, just the internal conversations with that happen. They're like little mini masterminds. And then Ask Sara Anything, where you can ask me questions about whatever you have going on. And then virtual co-working with accountability, which is great if you need that. And then we only have one bonus because honestly, it's just such a good deal that I couldn't justify giving a whole bunch of bonuses or anything like that. So you get an additional one-on-one call with me. So what that looks like is we go over your networking goals, we go through your ideal client, we assess your 2022 goals, and maybe even create a little bit of a timeline for you. And that way I can connect you with speaking opportunities, with podcasts that you might want to get featured on, with publications, or if there are summits that you're hoping to be part of. My network is vast. So I can connect you with people who have similar goals. That's the whole point of doing these calls. And I've had some of these people who have been, some of the people that are on this call who have been part of these little one-on-one calls with me, but that means you get 5 per year or in your first year. So whether, you need future team members or whatever the case may be, that's the situation. So, all right, I know we are over time, but I still have some pro tips and I am going to answer questions. So couple things. First of all, be patient and manage your expectations. Networking takes time. You may not close a $50,000 client or however many, you may not close a $20 client after your first meeting. It may take, a little bit of time. So manage your expectations, just like with any relationship. And as you nurture those relationships, you will see that return on investment. And then cultivate relationships with depth. You want these people to actually know you. You want to actually know these people so that it's a beneficial relationship, not a what you can do for me or what I can do for you relationship. And then offer professional courtesy. And super big pro tip, remember names and spell them correctly. When I get emails with my name with an H on it, it does not go unnoticed. If I were to, call Melissa McFarlane, if I spelled it like MCFARLIN instead of ANE, she would notice that.
I would also notice if you called me Melissa McFarlane, which, used to happen when I was 7.
Right? We notice that stuff. It's important. So make sure that you spell that person's name correctly and do your best to say the name correctly. Sometimes you might strike out with it, but people know when you do your best and they really do genuinely appreciate it. So this is, again, this quote from Melissa that I shared at the beginning, but I think it's just really important that you know that networking truly is a great, invaluable opportunity. And if you take one thing away from this workshop, it should be that networking is worth it and that most of the networking is done after the event. So once you leave, don't just shut it down. You have to keep going. All right. So to quote Melissa from CSE, there's always so much to do, but there are really only 2 things, now and next. So here are a couple things I want you to do in the next 30 days. First of all, make sure you grab that ticket to the networking social on March 30th. And then we have the networking resources. We actually have a folder that I put together after we sent out the initial worksheet. So you get the tracking sheet, all that stuff. And then I want you to make sure that you connect with at least 3 people that you met today. We will send out everyone's links. So make sure that you actually connect with those people and build those relationships. It's really, really important to build those out. And with that, connect with me. Bonus tips if you connect with me, and make sure, if you're looking for a community, District Bliss is a great place. We have amazing humans. You see a lot of them on this call. And if you have questions, I'm here for them. So I am going to go ahead and stop my screen share. I have completely neglected the chat throughout this entire presentation, which is not my normal MO, but I knew that if I took 10 seconds to breathe, we were going to go over by 20 minutes and we're already over by 9. I'm happy to hang out and answer questions. But if you did pop anything in the chat box and I didn't see it, and Erin, you happen to see it, let me know. And otherwise, if you want to raise your virtual hand, I'll bring you on down, or you can take yourself off mute. I can also bring you on down and get your questions answered about networking. Any questions? I also so appreciate you all hanging in. I know this was a lot of info, a lot of fast info. I don't think I've breathed in the last like 7 minutes. Diana, thanks for being here. Aaron Brown, I see your hand up. Come on down.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Hi. I was driving before, so that's why I was not camera on. Anyway, hi. I'm so inspired. I want to go out and network with you right now. Just a quick question. Have you ever been to an event, a networking event where they're curated matches or like a speed networking kind of thing where you're you don't have as much control as who you're connecting with, and that they're not the best matches and you've gone back a couple times? Any insight on how to maybe shift that?
If you've gone back a couple times and you're still not getting the right matches, I would say that place probably isn't the right fit for you. Like your people probably aren't hanging out there. Unfortunately, even if it feels like a good organization. Before you give up, if you want to have a conversation with the host of the events, then that's always a good idea, because it's possible that they think you have one goal, but they don't realize you have a totally different goal. And especially if they're curating it, because there are some networking organizations that will actually curate your matches. So it's important that you know those goals. Now, if you've gone back like 6 times and every single time you have not met a person that you think there is any reason that you should be networking with them, then that's probably not where your people are hanging out.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Not the answer I like to give, but
Okay. And how do you bust into a circle if you're in like a kind of an event where, I mean, it's usually not an issue for me, but like every once in a while, it's like a new Chamber of Commerce or something where it's not your usual people. Any tips on how you might approach that situation?
I have tips from both sides of that. So first, from your side as being in the circle, I always stand where my feet are open so that the circle is never closed off. Because what you're saying when you do close off that circle as someone who's in there is that you don't want the other people to come in. If you stand with your feet where they're pointed like almost at a 3/4 with the person you're talking to, then you're saying you're invited into this space and you're welcome. That goes so far with the other people, the person who is able to then come into the circle, because you are probably the only circle doing that, to be totally honest. So just a tip as the person who's actually in the circle, who's gotten into the circle, that's best practices for people who are, to make sure you allow other people in. What I usually do is I kind of wait till I see someone looks like they might be stepping out to get a drink or to get food or something, and then I kind of swoop in and take their spot. That's my MO. That's usually like the easiest way. So if you're a person who goes to popular restaurants and you've seen where they like need to, where you're kind of waiting for people to stand up, that's a very similar situation where you got to kind of keep your head on a swivel to make sure that like you get that high top. But that means, that that'll be an easier way to transition in, because it can be really uncomfortable to break into the circle, right? Like you don't want to go up and like tap people on the shoulder and say like, hey, I'm Erin, will you play with me? Like, like you're on the playground. But yeah, when someone looks like they're stepping out of the circle, they will also just naturally open their feet up so you can swoop in before they've even left the circle. You're muted, but I think I just saw you say cool.
Oh, yeah. Especially not all human design, that like I'm supposed to wait for the invitation. And I witnessed this recently where I was like, I didn't know anyone there except for the host. And it was weird because I kind of felt like a total outsider. And I'm like, I'm just supposed to show up and shine and be let in. It was like a social experiment.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would take people's feet being pointed out or people leaving the circle as your invitation in.
Cool. Thanks, Sara.
Yeah. Any other questions, any last minute questions? I so appreciate you all taking the time to be here. And I know you all are here late now. And if you're on the East Coast, it's 6:15. So it's just about happy hour time for you all. So I appreciate you all taking the time. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you so much. We will be sending out all this information. You'll get the replay from this. You'll get the link to the spreadsheet. You'll get the link to the worksheet. You'll get the link to sign up as a Rising Star member and save 50% at District Bliss. And you'll also receive the link to sign up for the networking social, which no strings attached, is just a free event for you. So sign up for that event and come practice your networking skills. The water's warm over here at District Bliss. So I highly recommend that you come join us. All right, everybody, have a wonderful rest of the day. Thank you so much for joining me, and happy networking. Bye, everybody.